Hello and welcome to I Am Well podcast. I'm your host Gemma, a nutritionist and a hormonal fasting coach, passionate about self-development through a holistic lens. But my biggest mission is to help empower women and get them to reconnect and trust their bodies again. So if you're a woman who just wants to better herself and live her best life, you're listening to the right podcast. So let's get to it. Hello and welcome back to I Am Well podcast. Today we're talking about how to say no without the feeling of guilt. And believe me when I tell you this, I've been through this and it has been a journey, and this is why I do what I do, because as I've said before, it's not only helped me, but it's helping you. So if I share the tools that I've used to implement me to get me to where I am right now, I feel like it's going to help and resonate with someone out there. So that's the whole point of this. Before I get started, I just wanted to remind you that Balance, my signature group program, that is coming up again in end of January 2025. I forgot to mention that there is a 6-month payment plan option. So if you want to join, but cost of living crisis, I get it, money is an issue. I have the 6-month payment plan that makes it easier and more accessible for you. So that option only lasts until the end of 2024. So once it comes down to 31st of December and we get into 2025, the very next day, that option is out. So please take advantage of that. It's a great way to make it more accessible for you, as I said. Anyway, let's go into today's topic. My favorite, how to say no to things without the feeling of guilt, because you can say no to things, right? You can force yourself to say no, but do you have that guilt at the end of the day? And that's the thing that used to destroy me. I would listen to so many self-development podcasts and listen to like so many self-development books, read self-development books on how to say no and, you know, setting boundaries and things like that. But I would always end up having a feeling of this massive guilt that in the end, I would rather just say yes to avoid the guilt, because the guilt was hurting me than actually saying no. Like I couldn't handle it anymore. So it was easier for me to just say yes to things. Now, I feel like this is going to really resonate with my clients, because when it comes down to creating a healthier lifestyle, a healthier version of you and finding the best version of you, you're making a big shift in your life, right? You're going from this person that you used to be to the person that you are now or want to be. And the only way to do that is to create massive changes in your life. And that's what I think we don't talk about enough when it comes to this health journey, is that it's all good and well and it's easy to say that you're going to do something. Like it's easy to say 2025 is my year. I'm going to work on me. I'm going to start working on my health. I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. I'm going to eat healthy 80% of the time. I'm going to meal prep. You know, all of these things that we set out for ourselves, they're so easy to say yes and to say that we're going to do them. The hard thing is to stick by it and to implement it. You know, most people that do a New Year's resolution or set one don't end up succeeding or keeping it until February, the very next month. Majority of people are giving up. And why is that? It's because we have that subconscious reprogramming that we need to do, because our subconscious mind has been so used to us doing what we're used to doing. So we can only step out of our comfort zones for so long, and then we find every reason and every excuse to go back to how we were before. So this is why I feel like this topic today is really going to resonate with my clients. So when I talk about how to say no, it means like how to say no to like things like eating out, you know, when you've got your besties, your friends, and, you know, especially with Christmas coming up, I feel like Christmas coming up can freak a lot of people out when they're on this health journey, because there is that saying like everything in moderation, right? But then if you're having a Christmas party every week, or you're catching up with friends, you know, for different like mothers group Christmas parties, and you find yourself that it goes from everything in moderation to now your whole lifestyle has just been thrown out of proportion, and you've been set back in your ways, and you're gone back to the old you that you didn't want to be anymore. That's where the shame and the guilt can come in. Like, I'm not strong enough for this. I'm not good enough for this. Like, this isn't going to work. And that's when a lot of people just end up giving up on the whole thing altogether. What I want to say to you is what went wrong in those situations, if that's you. Or if you've got these things coming up, can you say no to some things? I don't mean you can't, like you have to say no to the event. Go to the event. But can you eat before and say no to the food that's there? Or can you, if there's cake, can you say no to the cake? There's multiple reasons that your brain will start thinking of excuses to tell you, no, you can't say no. It'll be things ranging from like, if I say no, I don't want to upset the other person. I don't want to come across as rude. I remember I used to feel like this, especially going to family events. My husband's got a big family that, and they're very like, they love celebrating with food. And I remember the first time I went to his house and got introduced to his extended family, I didn't want to eat. I just wasn't feeling it. Like, I think we must have ate before. I don't know. I don't remember why, but I didn't want to eat. And I was scared because that was coming across as rude to his family, and I really wanted to impress them. Like, this is the first time I'm ever meeting them. And I remember his dad like being like, come on, eat, like you have this cake. And I remember I was like quickly like giving it to Shane in the background, trying to hide it because I was like, I don't want to eat this. But I felt so much guilt, so much pressure. I ended up like eating it anyway. And I was over full and I felt sick. And some people will tell you like, that's the spirit of Christmas. That's the spirit of families. Like that's, but at the end of the day, what are you actually doing? Like if someone says no and you're crossing their boundaries to going, no, eat it. Like how are you really coming across? I feel like those excuses where they're like, that's the spirit of, our family. That's how you enjoy your time. Why? I have my own boundaries. I have my own rules. I have my own mind. Why do I have to do what you say is acceptable? And I believe family should actually be there to support you, and they should be uplifting you, not tearing you down and telling you that you have to follow by their rules. I don't agree with that. There was a long time there, and this comes down to the boundaries, especially like if you're new to my episodes, go back and listen to more on boundaries, but especially if we're looking at boundaries. So this is just one example with families. Like back in the day, I would hear a lot like, this is your family you're talking about. You have to do this for them. This is your brother, this is your sister, like you have to, this is your cousin, like anyone. And it would be like, when I got older, it wasn't until I got older and I looked back and I was like, that is not a good enough excuse, because technically you're saying then that my family member could walk all over me, treat me like rubbish, and I just have to just put up with it and still give my all to them, even though I'm not receiving their all, because they're blood, because of a relation. That's not fair, because that wasn't a choice. I didn't choose to be in relation, and I don't get to choose how they behave to me. So why do I have to then change how I behave to them? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So anyway, saying no is one thing. But now let's go back to, why are you feeling guilt when you say no? And this was something that I had to really dive deep into, uncover for myself as well. It's definitely a subconscious thing, because you shouldn't be feeling guilty for saying no. So we need to discover why the guilt is there in the first place. So going back to the setting boundaries episode that I did a couple of weeks ago, are you a people pleaser? Are you afraid of being left out, of being isolated or forgotten? Are you trying? Is it that human instinct inside you that's trying to make sure that you still fit in? And so what is the fear behind saying no at the end of the day? This is the nitty-gritty that we need to get down to, because it is only then that you're going to be able to do the next step in this. And that is to start thinking critically, to start thinking logically. Use that analytical part in your mind. Stop deciding things from the emotional part. And you might be already doing this. Like this episode, if you are already doing this, maybe this episode isn't for you, but this is for the people who struggle to say no, and especially without feeling that guilt. So this is the next part that I want you to do, is to start thinking critically about everything. It's like when we scroll on social media now, there are so many experts everywhere, so many experts telling you, especially in the nutrition world. I've said this before, like growing up and trying to eat healthy was such a headache for me, and especially when social media came about, because I was there when social media started booming, when Instagram first became a thing, and I was right in my prime then when I was a full-time dancer, professionally dancing, when Instagram just boomed, and all of a sudden there were all these nutrition experts, these weight loss experts, and it was being thrown at me because I was trying to change my body to fit in a certain way of society in the entertainment industry. And you start to lose your critical thinking when that happens, because you start to just all of a sudden accept the information that's being told to you. So you'll see a video pop up and it'll be like, this is the only way to lose weight. I'm just going to randomly make this up, but you have to start eating 5 blueberries a day and then you'll start losing stubborn fat. And it would be like, oh, okay, I need to go buy some blueberries. And straight away you're doing that without even going into that analytical part of your mind and thinking critically about what the information you've just been received is. So, doing your own research, going, is that actually true? I actually want to look into this. And this is where we have to use this in every part of our life now, not just social media. And we're getting, I hate to say it, but we're getting kind of lazy because we've got everything at our fingertips now, especially AI, everything. So I challenge you, when you feel the guilt of saying no to someone, to start thinking critically about it, okay? Start using that analytical part of your brain. So, for example, if you're afraid to eat out because you're on this eating healthy program or something, I don't know, you're following a certain meal plan and you've already set in dates where you're going to eat out or something like that. And now all of a sudden this one's come out of the blue. You feel like you have to go because all your friends are going, but you're also like, I really don't want to eat out, or I really don't want to eat these foods or something like that. Write down the thoughts that come to your mind of why you feel like you can't say no to them for going to eat out. So are you scared? Are you scared of upsetting them? Scared of feeling judged by them? Or are you scared that they're not going to invite you to things anymore? So start thinking critically about these fears that you're having now. Start thinking do you really think these things are actually going to happen? If you say, no, I can't come tonight, or no, not tonight, it's not a part of the plan at the moment and it just doesn't work in with my routine or something like that. And do you really think that your friends are going to then isolate you and not invite you to any more events anymore? Do you think that they're going to judge you? Really, honestly? And if you do, and if they do judge you, what's the worst that's going to happen out of that? And maybe that's where at the start of this conversation we were saying, remember, the only way to create change in your life, the big change in your life, is to make big changes. So maybe you actually need to start finding yourself more of a friendship group that suits your sort of goals and lifestyle that you're trying to create, trying to be the person that you want to be now. It's all about that environment. Who are you surrounding yourself with? So if these people that are your so-called best friends aren't appreciating you and your goals and supporting you in that, are you hanging out with the wrong people then? And is this stinting you from getting to your goals quicker? And remember, 80% of what you worry about ends up never coming true in the end anyway. So you're probably worrying about majority of this, and majority of it's not going to happen. And that is that part of your brain that is wanting you to stay where you are. It doesn't want you to grow. So if you really want to create that change in your life, if you really, you come to me and you want those health goals, you have to be expected then to make some big changes in your life as well. You have to expect that you have to change. And huge disclaimer here, your brain will do everything to prevent you from thinking logically. If you are a person that is scared to say no, if you're a person that has that guilt when they do say no, your brain will make sure it does everything possible to prevent you from thinking critically and logically about this, because it doesn't like change. Your brain is there to protect you. Your brain is there to, it's how we've survived as a human race for so long. So it's used to this way of thinking. It's used to this way of living for you. And all of a sudden you're going, actually, I'm going to start thinking critically about this, and I'm going to feel more empowered to say no in my decisions, because I deserve that. I deserve that. And if my friends don't want to be there for me, then so be it. I'll get a new friendship group. If you start thinking that, your brain is not used to that version of you. Your brain is going to freak out. So it will not want you to think that way, because then that means it's going to a different version of you that it has never experienced before. That's not a bad thing. That's a great thing. You have to remember, if it feels uncomfortable, if you have all those fears, then that is the best thing, because that means you're growing and that means you're changing. And that's what you want, right? Why go and do a health program? Why go and, go to the gym 3 times a week? Why change your lifestyle, your eating? Because you want to create the best version of you. So by you not being able to say no and feeling empowered by saying no, that's you holding your back from that change. At the end of the day, it's your choice. I don't want to sugarcoat it so much. I am a people pleaser, so I never want to let people down, but I have to tell you this. At the end of the day, you're the one that's making the choices here. If you're saying no, if you're saying yes to things when you want to say no, that's a choice that you've made. It's a choice to stint your growth, and you've decided that. No one else, you've decided that. Feeling guilt and feeling guilty when you say no, that is a choice. And that choice is amazing at preventing growth and change. So to help you with this, to make you not feel so alone, is get yourself that supportive community. Surround yourself with people who are like-minded, who have goals like you, who want to grow like you, who want to better themselves. I started going to networking events, especially for my business, I guess, too. But now I'm going to networking events that just inspire and uplift me. I want to be surrounded by people who are entrepreneurs, who want to better the world around them, who want to do big things, who want to make massive impacts in people's lives. I want to surround myself with those kinds of people, because they're the people that are going to push me beyond my limits. That's where I want to be. Who do you want to surround yourself with? If your goal is to lose weight, who are you hanging around with? Because there is a statistic out there that literally says that if you end up becoming the people that you surround yourself with. And I didn't just make that up, that is out there. So if you're surrounding yourself with people who like to go out every single night, who like to have junk food 5 times a week, who don't care about their health, who don't care that they're putting on weight constantly, it's going to seep into your life and you're going to become them. So you need to start surrounding yourself with people that are going to help you create the change that you want. And a great way to do this is even if you can't get yourself into those events, if it's too daunting yet, if that's too much of a big step, get yourself a mentor, get yourself a coach. A coach and a mentor, they can be anyone. Like I do the balance program, but I have that as a group program so that women who don't want to do the one-to-one because it feels so confronting can first join a group. Or I do have the one-to-one option, but you don't even need, technically you just need to find the coach that suits you at the end of the day. I might not be that person that resonates with you. Find someone who just resonates with you, who just clicks with you, who you just feel their values, and go to them. And I promise you, they will help you start to create that change that you want. It's easy to say that you're going to change. It's hard to take the actions. And some of the actions are so much harder than you ever thought. That's why if it was that easy to lose weight, or if it was that easy to balance your hormones and things, like everyone would be doing it like that. But the thing is that people realize on their health journey is that the only way to change is they have to make big changes within their personal lives too. It's massive. It's not all about just following a meal plan. If you want it to be sustainable, you have to do this to create life-changing results that stick with you. I hope that resonated with you, and I hope that helps. At the end of the day, if you want to say no, say no. Don't feel guilty. Start reprogramming your subconscious mind. Start thinking in the morning, I'm a good person. I deserve this. I deserve to say no. I deserve it. My body deserves it. My health deserves it. And if people aren't going to be there to support me, then that's on them, and maybe they're not the right people that I should be surrounding myself with. Start taking control of your health and start putting yourself first. And otherwise, if you need help, I am always here. Join Balance 2025, our group program. I'm looking for 5 women to help support each other and grow and make big impacts in their lives and change, and then help others around them. I promise you, it's a health program that you've never been in before. If you want to know more, look at the show notes below. The links will be there. Thank you for listening. If you liked this episode, please rate and review. It means so much to me, and it really helps the podcast grow. Otherwise, I will talk to you all in the next episode. Happy week, everyone.